Claude Mauberret, Assessor, City of New Orleans.
All right, go. All right, Ms. Mauberret, thank you so much for your time. We're going to ask you just a few questions that we have, and then you had the opportunity to choose one question from our friends on Facebook, so we'll address that question, and anything else that you'd like to add at the very end, we'll give you a chance to look at our audience directly in the eye and tell them why they should vote for you. Okay. All right? So first and foremost is when you hear the term diversity, what comes to mind? What do you think of?
New Orleans.
Okay. Elaborate a little bit.
Well, obviously, black, white. Just what we're all about. Everything from, it's a cliche, but food.
Yeah.
It's just what New Orleans is made up of. That's it in a nutshell, really.
Okay. So it's about people and style. Okay. Because there's a lot of diversity here, right? Like you just mentioned, one of the issues in many of the diverse communities is that they don't feel included in a lot. Okay, what would you do? And you're currently in office, but moving towards this one assessor, what would you do? Is there anything that you can do in your position to make sure that you have fairness, that the community will feel like you as an elected leader would be fair?
As far as assessments go?
As far as assessments or anything else around you being elected in public office?
Well, as far as assessments go, we purchased a CAMA system, which is a computer-assisted mass appraisal software system, $1.2 million. By 2010, it will be fully operational, which will give fair and equitable assessments across the city, once and for all.
Okay.
As far as fairness, as far as employees, I would have to say half, if not more, will be African American.
Okay.
With a background in real estate and appraisal.
And that's something, and you have an office currently
At City Hall, yes.
At City Hall, so you've already got experience in hiring.
Sure.
From this community. Is that what you represent now?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. This is a little off subject, but from your direct position, but our viewers are very interested in holding our leaders accountable, especially around issues of crime. Is there anything at all, or what is your stance on Orleans Parish crime and what maybe we can do about it? It's not a mayor question. I know you're not running for mayor, but just what are your thoughts?
Well, the crime's rampant. The new mayor has to have someone that understands the city, understands the crime problem, can wrap his hands around it. And I think Leslie Jacobs said it best. If that person can't do it, find somebody that can.
Right.
We have very little, really none at all, impact
As an
an
assessor.
assessor. City council has a little bit because they approve the budget.
Right.
As far as the assessor goes, we really have none.
What is your role, or how important is it in who you interact with, i.e. the mayor, city council? Does the assessor office interact with those offices, and in what way is it important to you?
We do. Mayor Nagin's administration, very little interaction, just because they chose not to.
Okay.
We get along with the council members. We all need to work together. For example, crime, that's going to affect property values,
Right.
which in turn is just going to spread like a disease. So we can all work together and try to get the crime problem in the streets and in the schools, do our bit part.
That's a good point. And speaking of that, what are some of the biggest issues you have in your office currently, and what do you propose that you can do to make it a little better?
Well, the biggest issue is the fairness of the assessments. And like I just said, we also went to the bond commission, secured $8 million, hired a national firm. They went out and measured every piece of property in the city, along with the age, the type, and the condition. And that information is actually getting fed into this camera system that I just talked about. By 2010, we'll be ready.
Okay, now, from an assessment perspective, we're going from multiple offices to one assessor.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Well, that's what the people wanted. They voted. I accept that. We're like the rest of the state now. As far as the consolidation, it's going to take probably 6-8 months to do the consolidation. If I'm elected assessor, I've got to go and sit down with the other assessors and their staff, see where I'm going to consolidate, what fat I'm going to trim, and just how to structure the whole office, from personal property division to the commercial division, residential, the appeals, things like that. So it's not going to be an easy task.
Do you think in the end this is going to be advantageous to the citizens of New Orleans?
Yes. You won't have the personal relationship with the assessor.
Okay. In your district, you mean?
Or well, no, citywide.
Okay.
I could see when the tax rolls were open in August 1st through the 15th, if a property owner came in, I got to see him. There was no one that was turned away or I did not get to see.
Okay.
It's going to be impossible for the assessor to see everyone when those tax rolls are open.
Right.
Just by the sheer volume of people.
Right.
It's impossible.
Now, will you have the opportunity to hire? I mean, will there be people
well,
who will represent the central districts?
You will see a deputy or someone in charge for that particular area of the city.
Gotcha.
But by the luck of the draw, you'll get to see the assessor, but most people won't. And I think that's the only thing that they're really going to miss.
Okay. Last question comes from our Facebook, and you chose to answer this. And again, some of these apply, some don't. But Robert Childs wrote, "What will you do to bring more business to New Orleans, or what impact do you think that has? More business to New Orleans, medium to large size businesses and corporations. How would the assessor's office help bring more businesses to New Orleans?"
Well, the only thing I think we could affect is with fair assessments. If you have fair assessments across the board, everybody pays their fair share. The millage rate stays at a comfortable level. We can compete with the Jefferson parishes, the St. Tammany parishes. Therefore, if we're below them as far as the millage rate goes, and somebody's looking at, well, let's see, which way do I go? Well, New Orleans is not so bad. Actually, they're better than Jefferson, or better than St. Tammany. And I think that's probably about the only way that we can really do it.
Okay, gotcha. You a fan of the homestead exemption?
Yes.
I'm always teasing Gary that they should cancel that. He says,
no, I am. And New Orleans has one of the most, or the state of Louisiana is one of the most liberal in the nation.
Right.
And if you raise the homestead exemption, all that's going to do is the city bills out about $300 million a year in property tax, thereabouts. So if you raise the homestead exemption to $100,000, and I don't know the exact numbers, but say that $300 million gets shaved down to, I don't know, $280 million, $270. Do you really think the city's going to say, we don't need that extra $20, $30 million? No, they're going to up the millage rate to make up that difference.
Right.
So bottom line is you're going to be paying more. Plain and simple.
Interesting.
So there's no getting around that.
We do appreciate your time here. If you would, please, you'll have a chance to look at our 60,000 members and ask for their vote.
Once again, my name is Claude Mauberret. I thank you all for having me this opportunity to speak to you all. The city assessor election is a very important one. I really believe the election in the next month and a half will define New Orleans for the next 20 years. Combining the 7 assessors' offices into one is no easy task. I think the citizens deserve someone with the knowledge and experience, and I have that acknowledged and experience as 15 years as the assessor, and I appreciate your consideration and your vote. Thank you.
Ms. Mauberret.
Thank
you very much.
All right.